So often, when creation, evolution, and time are discussed, the topic of dinosaurs arises.
Oh, great. Well, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with dinosaurs, but when a young Earth creationist brings them up, you just know that they're about to offer a completely ridiculous explanation as to why they definitely lived with us within the last 6,000 years.
Which shouldn't surprise us since dinosaurs have been a kind of poster child of evolution for decades.
Well, yes. Or no. I'm really not sure at this point. I wouldn't exactly call dinosaurs a poster child of anything other than being creatures that went extinct around 65 million years ago, after being here for somewhere between 165 and 230 million years. And I know that you're gonna say I'm wrong, blah, 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 but it makes little difference what you think, you young Earth creationist bozo. Everything real scientists say about dinosaur fossils, remains, whatever you want to call them, demonstrates to us using reliable and repeatable tests that there haven't been dinosaurs on Earth for quite a while, and certainly not within the last 6,000 years. Please subscribe.
According to the general theory of evolution, no human being ever saw a living dinosaur.
Can you imagine if you did? Now, I can say with a pretty high degree of certainty that if I was to come across a dinosaur when I was at the filling station filling up my car and spending an absurd amount of money on a liquid to make my car go, then I would 100% shit my old man pants and try and run away as quickly as I possibly could. But to be serious for just a minute, because that's really all about I can manage. The general theory of evolution says that it can be demonstrated that the evolution of structures has a replicative character. The evolution goes through a phase of non-identical replication and reaches the phase of identical replication, the parts of the system that become separated. That is, compartments develop within it. Now, I don't actually know what any of that means, but I feel really smart now. So yeah, science.
Evolutionists insist that dinosaurs became extinct more than 60 million years ago, while humans allegedly evolved about 57 million years later.
Now, what exactly is an evolutionist? Am I one? Are you one? Or is it that we are just not stupid enough to believe that the Earth has actually only been here for 6,000 years? But whatever the case may be, it's not really fair to say that we insist on the fact that the dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. It's just that we have this little thing called evidence. And you'll never guess what? They did! Dumbass! An abundance of fossilized bones, teeth, trackways, and other hard evidence has revealed that the Earth was the domain of the dinosaurs for at least 165 million years, and so far, not a single trace of dinosaur remains has been found in rocks younger than about 66 million years. Now, at that point, all dinosaurs suddenly cease to exist. Imagine that.
According to the Bible, however, God made everything in 6 days. But how could this have included dinosaurs? The Bible doesn't even mention dinosaurs, does it?
No, it does not. And even with the best efforts of creation science, I still can't say that without laughing. But even with the best efforts of young Earth creationists, you've never been able to prove that they do. And there's the difference. Everything you hear a young Earth creationist say is filled to bursting point with fairy tales and suppositions. Because when the thing you claim to believe in has zero evidence to support any of it, you have no other option than to fill in the blanks for yourself, aka make it up.
And even if it did, how could mere humans have ever lived with such creatures?
They didn't, but I guess they could have, technically speaking, but I seriously doubt that man's life expectancy would have been great. You know, walking around with creatures roaming free that in most cases were big enough to swallow an adult human being whole.
Admittedly, a person will not find the word dinosaur in most English translations of the Bible. But we must keep in mind that the Bible is not a taxonomic book.
Was that a moment of honesty from a young Earth creationist? Well, I never. I am truly shocked. And yeah, you're right. There is not a single mention of dinosaurs in the Bible. And thank you for being big enough to admit that the Bible isn't a taxonomic book. But you did forget to say that it also isn't a science book or a factual book. Just thought I would throw that in there as well for clarity. Because if you were to listen to some young Earth creationists like Kent Hovind, for example. He seems to believe that the Bible is the answer to all of life's questions, and the only book worth referring to. Oh no, that's it. Nothing specific, just everything. The Bible answers everything, apparently.
Its main purpose is to tell us about God and His scheme of redemption, not to list every animal God created.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that point as well, I'm afraid, because from where I'm sitting, the Bible's main purpose is to scare people unfortunate enough to believe it into behaving, or else. And I'm glad you point out that the Bible isn't there to list off every animal God created, which is probably just as well, because He didn't create any. In fact, He didn't create anything. We've got all that covered by science, so no supernatural input required.
The Bible mentions a variety of animals, but not every animal. I don't think the Bible ever specifically mentions cats, kangaroos, elephants, aardvarks, anteaters, platypuses, and penguins. To say that these animals don't cohabit the earth with man because the Bible doesn't mention them would of course be absurd.
So do young earth creationists actually think that's why we have a hard time believing them when they say things like dinosaurs and man lived together? Because it doesn't say that in the Bible. I'm actually a little bit lost for words. The reason we laugh at you when you say man and dinosaurs lived together within the last 6,000 years is because there is absolutely no evidence to support that claim. You said it yourself, the Bible makes no mention of dinosaurs. So what the actual fork leads young earth creationists to the belief that dinosaurs were around in the last 6,000 years? Apart from the obvious, which is finding it impossible to deny dinosaurs because of pesky science people continuously proving that they were here and that they died out 65 million years ago, which doesn't lend itself well to a 6,000-year timeline, does it? So I guess rather than trying to claim that dinosaurs were fake or CGI, or whatever it is you lot claim, you've decided to try and stuff them into the last 6,000 years.
For Christians to assume dinosaurs and humans never lived together because the Bible doesn't mention dinosaurs is equally erroneous.
But I don't think Christians claim that either. Some Christians, or at least the ones that aren't prepared to lie to themselves and everyone around them, are more than happy to accept that evolution is the most likely explanation for the origins of Earth. They still believe in God, and that's fine, but they are able to see things in a more realistic light and accept that science provides us with so much evidence in support of the age of the Earth. You would look like a complete idiot to try and deny it. So yeah, nice try. But nobody is making assumptions. It's just that some of us are more willing than others to accept the evidence presented to us.
We must also recognize that whereas the Bible was completed 1900 years ago and was translated fully into English by 1535, the English word dinosaur was not coined until 1842. More than 300 years after the first complete English translation of the Old and New Testaments.
Oh great, here he goes. Yes, but it's not that dinosaurs weren't in the Bible, it's just that the word dinosaur wasn't invented yet. What a clown. That may well be the truth in English, but what about Hebrew? They must have a word for dinosaur. Actually, they do. I haven't got a clue what it says, but apparently that's the Hebrew word for dinosaur. Was the Hebrew language about then, or did they only make up that word after the fact as well? No, because the Hebrew language has been around for 3,000 years, so that wouldn't work for you when you think the Bible was written and there wasn't a Hebrew word for dinosaur, so yeah, suck it.
Obviously, one would not expect to find the English term dinosaur in a translation of the Bible that preceded its coinage.
Probably not. But as I just pointed out, there is a Hebrew word for dinosaur. So isn't it also possible that the reason there's no mention of dinosaurs in the Bible is that there were no dinosaurs? You do realize that the Flintstones wasn't a documentary, don't you?
What's more, though most modern English Bible translators have elected to omit the term dinosaur, such exclusion doesn't necessarily mean that the Bible writers refrain from mentioning dinosaurs or dinosaur-like creatures.
Hang on a second, Chief. Omission is to leave something out that was there. You cannot omit something if it wasn't there in the first place to be omitted. Take a minute to compose yourself, sweater boy. You just contradicted your last point, which is not a good look for a person trying to convince people of something which is completely impossible.
Consider the great sea creatures that were created on day 5 of creation. Could this not have included dinosaur-like, water-living reptiles such as plesiosaurs?
Now, this is something that I've always wondered about. In the real world, this place that most of us live, and the place where we need supporting evidence for something or someone in order to be able to establish the validity of a certain claim, we use evidence, and in the case of dinosaurs, the reason we can be so certain about when they existed is that is where the evidence points. But whenever we mention evidence to a young Earth creationist, they just laugh it off. Oh, because it's written in a book, you believe it. That's a religion. Well, first of all, no it isn't, dumbass. And secondly, shut up and listen. You may actually learn something useful. If we're all so foolish to accept the evidence written down in scientific papers and textbooks, what makes you any different? You just said that the great sea creatures were created by God on day 5 of creation. How'd you know? I mean, it couldn't possibly be just because it was written down in a book. That would just be silly, wouldn't it? That would make it just a religion. Or does that only apply to people that disagree with you?
But regardless of whether dinosaurs are mentioned specifically in the Bible or not, one can know that they were created alongside man during the creation week and not millions of years earlier.
But why? Or more accurately, how do we know? I'm not saying it again, but if we are stupid to accept science, then you must be as equally stupid to accept what's written down in the Bible. It's exactly the same thing, except science books contain actual information. All you just said is that it doesn't matter whether the Bible mentions dinosaurs or not, they were around 6,000 years ago. You'll just have to blindly accept that. That isn't science. In fact, that isn't anything other than filling in the blanks to suit your idea of how we ended up where we are today.
Still, because most people, even many Christians, have been conditioned to believe that no human being could have ever lived with dinosaurs, they dismiss the thought, and along with it, a literal and logical interpretation of the Genesis account of creation.
Holy guacamole! Logical and Genesis? Now those are two words I never thought I'd hear in the same sentence. Whenever I think about what Genesis 1 says, I can't help wondering how well received it would be by Christians if there was something else that existed that people claim just magically poofed into existence. Without any sensible explanation for how it happened. It's just here, and it's just here. It's just complete nonsense. Like thinking that dinosaurs lived with us.
In fact, a few years ago, one Christian author wrote a children's book claiming that man could not have lived in a world full of dinosaurs. So by the time God created Adam, the dinosaurs were gone. He later wrote that it is ludicrous to suggest that man cohabited with the dinosaurs.
Well, I can't believe it. I actually agree with some parts of that. It is ludicrous to believe that man lived with dinosaurs. I do feel a but coming on, though.
Many people seem to think that dinosaurs would have killed all of the humans by biting them in half with their supersized teeth, or by hunting them down and cutting them open with their 5-inch long sickle-like claws.
Well, it's a fair assumption to make, I suppose. Dinosaurs, big, scary, huge teeth and claws. Man, little, quite often a bit squidgy, without huge teeth and claws. I don't think that dinosaurs would have eaten us all, just the ones that couldn't make their escape in time. The hell am I saying? Don't be a dick. We were separated by 57 million years.
People think that the large plant eaters would have crushed humans with their massive feet and smashed them with their huge tails.
Well, if you happen to be where their foot landed, then yeah. I would imagine it wouldn't have ended well for anyone. Where exactly are you going with this, though? I'm confused.
Truly, some dinosaurs, such as Apatosaurus and Brachiosaurus, were extremely large. Others were smaller but with sharp teeth and long claws. People generally think of these animals as being ferocious and virtually invincible. So just how is it that creationists can reasonably believe that humans could have survived on this earth alongside dinosaurs in the distant past?
Stupidity, gullibility, the desire to fit in with a group of other equally stupid and gullible people, or the fear that something bad is going to happen to them if they don't do what they're told to do. You're going to have to give me a clue.
The truth is, humans have always lived on Earth with amazing, incredible creatures, and we still do. Do you ever stop to consider what kind of mighty animals we currently live with on Earth?
I have, many, many times. Nature is absolutely mind-blowingly complex and beautiful, and we are discovering new species of animal even in recent years, and they are all the result of billions of years of evolution. Not a magic man snapping his fingers in the clouds.
Elephants, for example, are the largest land-living animals in the world. Some reach weights of up to 22,000 pounds and could easily kill a man just by stepping on him, or by striking him with its 6-foot-long, 300-pound trunk. Yet, for thousands of years, humans have been known to live with and tame these creatures.
Oh my, what a really stupid comparison to make. For start, elephants are vegetarians, and we aren't plants. So an elephant would have no interest in eating us anyway. Yeah, an elephant could quite easily kill a human being if that human being was stupid enough to get too close to a wild elephant. But dinosaurs weren't quite the same thing, were they? Well, a lot of them weren't. I know some of them were, I know, anyway. And in the same way as today, if you get too close to a lion, then given the chance, he's gonna try and eat you. And then so would a meat-eating dinosaur. And I really hope you're not trying to suggest that they were trained dinosaurs. Oh yeah, and the reason we've been living with and training elephants for a very long time is that they are here now with us. They didn't die 65 million years ago.
Humans have been able to live alongside elephants for thousands of years. So why is it so hard for people to think of humans living on the same planet as the large dinosaurs?
Because there is absolutely zero evidence that suggests we did.
Yes, some dinosaurs, like Brachiosaurus, grew to be about 4 times larger than the largest elephants. But if man can work, play, and go to battle alongside or on top of elephants, the largest land animals on Earth today, it surely is not absurd to think that humans did similar things with certain dinosaurs. Especially when you consider that, according to evolutionary paleontologists, the average dinosaur was only about the size of a large cow.
You're really shit at giving examples, aren't you? Cows are vegetarians as well, you moron. Look, I know there were also dinosaurs that only ate plants, and I dare say that it isn't impossible that they could maybe have been trained. Who knows? I don't, you don't. In fact, no human being alive today does, or within the last 300,000 years for that matter. So nobody would be able to say for sure if we could or couldn't have trained a dinosaur, assuming it didn't try to eat us first. And there's a really good reason why we can't be sure. It's because they were gone 57 million years before we got here.
Whales are the largest animals ever known to have existed on Earth, larger than any elephant or dinosaur. Blue whales have been known to weigh as much as 400,000 pounds, yet humans have hunted many species of whales for centuries.
This is just getting silly. We're going round in circles. So, your best evidence for man and dinosaur living together is that there are big animals today, and that even though the Bible doesn't actually say we live together, the Bible says we live together. Am I following so far? That's all you can come up with. You're not going to amaze us with some recently discovered piece of evidence that shows how wrong we've all been. Well, how disappointing. And talking about disappointment, how did you enjoy this video? Have you smashed the like button? Because it would seem, and as funny as this is, but it would seem that only around 66% of the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. Whose ball bag have I got to tickle to get you to hit that subscribe button? I'll do it. I don't care. It's only wrinkly skin. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but if you hit subscribe, it's free, and you can always unsubscribe later if I get on your nerves. And on that note, if for some reason you do feel inclined to support what I do on the channel, then you can join my Patreon or click the super thanks button below the video, or just comment and tell me you liked the video, or don't do any of it. It's up to you really, I don't care. But thanks for watching, all the same. Love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.